Most people imagine World War III completely wrong. They picture fighter jets overhead, missile strikes, foreign troops moving through cities, something loud, something dramatic. But that's rarely how a true crisis reaches the average person. It starts quietly. The first shot isn't fired on your street. It's fired at the supply chain. 1 week life feels normal. The next week gas stations are running dry, store shelves are empty, deliveries stop arriving, and that familiar back-in-stock message becomes a distant memory. We've already seen a glimpse of what that looks like. Empty shelves, panic buying, people scrambling for essentials. Now imagine the same scenario, but this time the shortages don't end. No restocking trucks, no emergency shipments, no return to normal. For people living in rural America, that changes everything. You're not heading to a shelter hundreds of miles away. You're not waiting for a government hotline to solve the problem. You're staying put and relying on whatever you already have. And that's where most preparedness plans begin to fall apart. Many people prepare for a short emergency. They buy the popular rifle, the trendy handgun, and the internet-approved loadout. Then the ammunition disappears, and suddenly the entire plan collapses. Because a firearm you can't feed is nothing more than an expensive club. Today we're looking at firearms through a different lens. Not tactical fantasies, not social media trends. We're focusing on guns that remain useful when shelves stay empty and resupply isn't coming. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 5 is the 300 Blackout Rifle. Developed to provide enhanced performance from short-barreled AR platforms, 300 Blackout became extremely popular among shooters seeking compact defensive rifles and suppressed setups. The cartridge was engineered by modifying 5.56 brass, allowing it to function with standard AR magazines and bolts, while firing heavier .30 caliber projectiles. In a functioning society, it offers impressive close-range performance and excellent suppressor compatibility. But in a true long-term collapse, specialized calibers become a liability. 300 Blackout is produced in smaller quantities than common military or hunting cartridges. During severe shortages, it can disappear rapidly and remain unavailable for extended periods. The cartridge excels in close-range defensive roles and suppressed applications. However, ammunition availability becomes its biggest challenge when supply chains break down. Additionally, heavy projectiles lose velocity relatively quickly, limiting practical range compared to some traditional rifle cartridges. A premium factory rifle, such as the Daniel Defense DDM-4 PDW, carries an MSRP around $2,199, with real-world prices often hovering near $1,950. At number 4, we arrive at the Ruger 1022, chambered in .22 long rifle. Now we're entering territory where long-term practicality begins to matter. Introduced in 1964, the 1022 has spent decades riding in trucks, sitting behind farmhouse doors, and accompanying countless shooters into the field. Its simple blowback operating system is easy to maintain and remarkably reliable. The modular trigger group simplifies cleaning, while the famous rotary magazine remains one of the most dependable rimfire feeding systems ever designed. But the real advantage is ammunition. .22 long rifle is affordable, lightweight, and easy to stockpile in enormous quantities. Thousands of rounds can be stored in a relatively small space at a fraction of the cost of centerfire ammunition. In a long-term survival situation, small game hunting and pest control become far more important than many people realize. The 1022 excels in both roles. Its strengths include extremely low recoil, broad accessibility for shooters of all ages, excellent ammunition economy, and decades of proven reliability. Its limitations are equally clear. .22 long rifle lacks the energy needed for large predators or determined threats, and rimfire ammunition remains somewhat less reliable than centerfire ammunition. A standard Ruger 1022 typically carries an MSRP around $389, with common street prices around $300. Taking the third spot is the classic pump-action 12-gauge shotgun. Think Mossberg 500s and Remington 870s. These shotguns aren't glamorous. They aren't loaded with cutting-edge technology. What they are is dependable. A pump shotgun relies on manual operation. The shooter provides the energy necessary to cycle the action, making the platform largely immune to many issues that affect semi-automatic firearms. If the shell fits the chamber, there's a very good chance the shotgun will fire it. The 12-gauge also offers unmatched flexibility. Birdshot for small game, buckshot for defense, slugs for larger animals and extended range. That versatility becomes incredibly valuable during uncertain times when ammunition availability may fluctuate. The strengths include devastating close-range performance, broad ammunition variety, and simple, proven mechanics. The downsides are substantial recoil, slower reloads, and limited magazine capacity compared to modern rifles. A standard Mossberg 500 commonly retails around $400, making it one of the most practical defensive firearms available. Number 2 belongs to the Marlin 336, chambered in .30-30 Winchester. This rifle represents the traditional American woods gun. The side eject receiver allows straightforward optics mounting, while the lever action system combines simplicity with proven reliability. The action cycles through a manually operated locking system that remains highly resistant to dirt, weather, and harsh conditions. The greatest advantage, however, comes from ammunition dynamics. When shortages occur, many shooters focus heavily on tactical calibers. .30-30 Winchester often remains available longer because it occupies a different niche. It remains one of the most respected deer hunting cartridges ever developed and offers more than enough performance for defensive use within realistic distances. The strengths include excellent stopping power, manageable recoil, dependable operation, and a traditional appearance that attracts less attention than tactical rifles. The weaknesses include slower reloads, reduced magazine capacity, and ballistic limitations compared to modern high-velocity cartridges. A Ruger-produced Marlin 336 Classic carries an MSRP around $1,239, with typical street prices near $1,100. Taking the number 1 spot is the .308 Winchester bolt-action rifle. Think rifles like the Ruger American or Savage Axis. This choice won't make everyone happy. It's not flashy, it's not tactical. But when viewed strictly through the lens of long-term survival, few firearms make more sense. The bolt-action design is one of the strongest and simplest repeating systems ever created. Massive locking lugs secure directly into the receiver or barrel extension. There are no gas systems, no complicated operating mechanisms, and very few moving parts. The result is extraordinary reliability. Bolt-action rifles tolerate neglect, adverse weather, and a wide variety of ammunition better than many semi-automatic platforms. .308 Winchester remains one of the most widely produced hunting and military cartridges on the planet. Even during shortages, it often remains available longer than many specialized calibers. More importantly, the bolt action encourages deliberate shooting. It rewards precision rather than volume. In a world where ammunition cannot be easily replaced, that matters. Its strengths include exceptional reliability, excellent long-range performance, powerful terminal ballistics, and efficient ammunition use. The disadvantages are a slower rate of fire and reduced magazine capacity. For rural defense and long-term sustainability, however, those compromises are often acceptable. A standard Ruger American typically carries an MSRP around $599, while street prices frequently settle near $450. The biggest mistake many people make when preparing for uncertain times is focusing entirely on the firearm while ignoring the ammunition that keeps it running. A gun is only as useful as your ability to feed it. When supply chains function normally, almost any modern firearm can seem like a great choice. But prolonged shortages expose weaknesses that don't appear during ordinary times. The goal isn't owning the most popular rifle or the most expensive handgun. It's owning a firearm you can realistically support, train with, and keep operational for years if necessary. Because when shelves stay empty, practicality matters more than trends, and the firearms that continue working under those conditions are the ones that truly earn their place.